Coming up in The Good Life, learn about the new scouting alternative for young men with the mission to provide godly character development. John Stemberger and Rob Green will tell us about the development of this national brand new program, and that's coming up on The Good Life. Welcome to The Good Life, viewers. I'm Barbara Beck, and it is a good life. If you know Jesus Christ personally, if you have Him in your heart and in your home, you know that it's the very best, most abundant life that we can possibly have. So I hope you're having a very blessed day today. We're going to be talking about some things that are a little bit maybe controversial today, but they shouldn't be, because they are all a part of God's design for us and His word for us and His desire for us. Because on today's program, we're discussing a new scouting alternative for young men, and we're going to talk about why we need this new alternative. But this is going to be focusing on Christian character development, and the new organization will be ready to launch in January of 2014. And our special guests today are one of our favorites. He's a return guest, John Stemberger, the founder of onmyhonor.net, and the organization's Interim Executive Director, Rob Green. Welcome, John, back to The Good Life.
It's great to be here again.
Thanks for being back again. And Rob Green, hailing from South Carolina. You're a brand new guest for us today.
That's correct. Thanks for having me here.
Well, tell us a little bit about who Rob Green is.
Well, for 20 years, I was a director at various levels of the Boy Scouts of America, most recently in a council headquartered in Spartanburg. I have a wife of 24 years. 3 grown children and 1 still in the house. So it's an adventurous life for us.
Yeah. So any grandchildren yet? I mean, you look like you could, you're a teenager or something.
No
idea.
No.
Nobody's married.
No, and I still clip the gray hairs, so I like it how it is right now.
Okay.
I have 1 engaged and 1 maybe headed that way.
Well,
yes.
That's kind of an exciting season of your life, and still have 1 at home, so you're not an empty nester yet.
I'm a taxi driver for him everywhere.
Oh, so. I understand that. Been there, done that,
Sure.
as all of our viewers can understand too. And John, tell us about your job and your family.
Well, I have a very small law firm, but I spend most of my time running the Florida Family Policy Council, which is one of Florida's leading pro-life, pro-marriage, pro-family organizations. And I've been married to Olivia for 18 years, and we have 4 children under the age of 12. And I did the math on that, and it's not a good economic projection,
No,
but that's
it's
where
not.
we stand.
But they're mostly boys. Are they 2 boys and 2 girls?
The 2 older ones are boys, and the 2 younger ones are girls.
So those are just 2 weddings that you have to do.
That's right.
So that won't be too bad. But John, tell us, before we get into the scouting new organization, I want to really talk about that and develop that. You are doing a very important ministry through the Florida Family Policy Council. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, we advocate on life, marriage, and family. The institution of the family is really what creates social order in a culture, in a society, in any civilization. And marriage springs forth from families. And so that's our primary thing. We feel like if you can get marriage and family right, you're solving so many other social problems. Crime, welfare, elder care. I mean, you can't name a domestic policy issue that's not directly related to the strength or the weakness of families. So that's our focus with the Florida Family Policy Council.
So is On My Honor a part of that? Is that one of the programs that you're doing through the Florida Family Council?
Well, our board has actually released us through the end of this year to really focus most of our time and energy in helping this new scouting alternative organization form. I just happen to also be an Eagle Scout, a former Scoutmaster.
I was going to ask you that. I thought you might be an Eagle Scout.
2 of my sons were in scouting, vigilant, a member of the Order of the Arrow, and so I bleed scouting.
Yes.
And was just very concerned about the changes that were made, and so that's how I kind of became involved with the whole program.
Well, articulate what those changes are, because some of our viewers might not really know why we need an alternative.
Sure. Well, what happened is that after several years of resisting pressure from activists, the Boy Scouts of America have adopted a policy that will go into effect January 1st of 2014, which will allow openly gay boys in the program. And even if you believe in gay rights, we just think this is really inappropriate. And most parents think that to flaunt someone's sexuality, that really sex and politics have no business in Scouting. It's about camping, it's about swimming, it's about, it's about all the things we do in outdoors. And so we just think that's going to provide for a really inappropriate environment to raise young people, to teach character. And actually the mission of the Boy Scouts of America is to teach ethics and morals. And so we think that's really in opposition to that. And so as a result of that, unfortunately, there's been tens of thousands of families and scouts and scoutmasters that have pulled away from the Boy Scouts of America.
Right. Well, Rob, were you involved in scouting as well as a young boy?
I wasn't. I came from kind of a broken home. My family moved around a little bit and the parents got divorced. But growing up and not having scouting, I didn't really miss it or know what I was missing. And then when my kids got to be of age to do it, we took them through Cub Scouts, and I was a Cub Scout leader, a Boy Scout leader, and 2 of my sons, before they went to college, made Eagle Scout and went all the way through. And my 3rd son is kind of a tragic way that this whole thing has gone. He's a Life Scout, which is 1 rank away from Eagle, but he decided about a month ago not to pursue it. He said, "This is not important to me anymore. It's not something. I feel like the Boy Scouts, their values have gone the wrong direction, and I'm not going to finish." So as a former Scout leader and a dad, I really wanted him. I'm kind of torn, and a lot of Scout people are about that same subject. So I wanted something that maybe even will allow him to finish out, not in Scouting, but in an organization that stands for what Scouting used to.
So you are working toward having a new organization that is going to align more with family values, with ethics, and ultimately with biblical truth, right, John? So what is this new organization going to look like?
Well, we're working on a name. We're working with trademark lawyers right now and doing polling and focus groups with parents, with young boys. We want to make sure we have a name that resonates. But we're also having a national convention on September 6th and 7th in Nashville, Tennessee. Folks can go to onmyhonor.net to get more information about that. But we'll start registering new units in the fall, probably in about October. And then the program will launch January 1, 2014. We're very excited about it. This is not going to be just another church program. This is going to be a robust adventure program for young men. That's going to be primarily outdoors, but it's going to have many components. Some of it will look like the Boy Scouts, but it'll also be very different and very exciting. We're very thrilled about as we see God unfolding the plan. It's really neat.
Are you anticipating some resistance from Boy Scouts of America in that you are patterning a lot of this from your experience as a Boy Scout, as an Eagle Scout? Do you think there could be lawsuits? I know you just said you're going to do a lot of different things too, but is this a concern at all, John?
Yeah, no, we've got this program all lawyered up.
Oh, good.
so we're making sure we're respecting intellectual property rights and that kind of thing. We are going to be able to have transfer those. So whatever rank a young man is in Scouting, they'll transfer over into an equivalent ranking. Won't be called the same thing, but we'll try to do that so that they can transfer one-to-one.
Do you have a problem with, you obviously did because of your involvement with this new organization, but children, in particular boys, from the age of what Cub Scouts, Rob, where they start at age 5 or
6 years old.
6 years old, up through high school, maybe 17 or 18 years old, and really even worrying about sexual orientation? I mean, who gets labeled as a homosexual or as a gay person and really wants to have that label? I mean, to me, there was a little of a conflict anyway in just having the Boy Scouts of America sort of condoning that.
There really is. There's all kinds of issues that result from the decision that they made to go that way, pushing a societal agenda that all of us would be stand in opposition to. But there are some safety issues for boys. If you have a 17-year-old boy and a 10-year-old boy in the same troop, the 10-year-old boy looks up to that 17-year-old and really can model himself, his behavior and his character gets molded by that youth. So there's some problems throughout with their new policy, and we all know it's opening the door for something a lot worse.
And what about the leadership? Did the Boy Scouts of America say that leaders could be openly gay too, or they have not opened that door yet?
No, it's just young people right now, but I predict as an attorney, within 2 years, they'll have a court force that upon them, because when that 17-year-old boy who's in the program has to be turned away when he turns 18 as an adult, he'll be a plaintiff in a lawsuit under an equal protection challenge or under some non-discrimination ordinance, and they won't be able to show a rational basis in the difference between the two policies. So I predict within 2 years, some court will order the Boy Scouts of America to have open homosexuality, whether the entire program, including adults, and that's just an inevitable thing. They've kind of set this into place, and it's gonna happen eventually.
It was very clear from the beginning, looking at it from the inside as a scouting professional, that the push was for the whole package. It wasn't just for youth. That's a foot in the door.
Sure.
And the gay leaders is the next thing. And from the beginning, that was made known that that was the intent. But because so much of America had a backlash and they had 100,000 calls into the national office saying, don't do this. So this was a compromise to only go with the youth for now.
Can we, however, make the distinction that a homosexual gay leader, let me just play the part of an advocate here, a sexual predator is not a homosexual. There are two distinctions there. So I know that having a gay leader, some people would have a lot of fear that that person would encourage that young boy into that lifestyle, or even, perform some things that were not moral with that person. But they are not sexual predators, first of all, right?
That's right. I mean, I don't think that every gay person is a sexual predator. But the challenge is that, we wouldn't tent a girl with a boy, and the reason we wouldn't do that is because they're attracted to each other.
Yes.
And so when you have a young man who's openly professing his attraction to other men, it really creates a difficult dynamic when you have to tent him for long days at a time with other young boys. And it does create a safety issue.
So whether you believe in homosexuality or not, there is that issue.
Sure. And I think most parents are not, they're not going to be able to do that. And the Boy Scouts have a real challenge with that, and I don't know how they're going to navigate that. That's a real safety issue, and when they put the safety and security of my sons over and above, the interest of these activists, that's a program that we can't no longer trust as parents.
True.
So what is your vision? Let's talk about the new organization. What exactly is it going to look like? Are they going to be earning badges? Are they going to be going on camping trips? I mean, they're going to be obviously a lot of the same things, because you love Boy Scouts of America. Sure. You're obviously, as an Eagle Scout, John, that's something that's a big part of your life and your heart. What is your organization going to look like?
Well, programmatically, I mean, we are aligned with what the Boy Scouts were trying to do. We want boys to see outdoor adventure and experience a love for nature, and to really understand what teamwork is about and earning badges. I mean, those are all important, and kids love to do it. But we're going deeper in the character part of it. The Boy Scouts can't do some of the things that we can do with the Christian biblical mindset. We're going to instill integrity and leadership and the things that the boys need based on true values. Boy Scouts doesn't define God and who He is, and we can say from a Trinitarian perspective that the Bible is our source for values. We can define our values. We have to. It's sad that in today we have to say what marriage is. A covenant between one man and one woman for life. In the old days, they didn't have to define that. And Boy Scouts, I think, at one point believed that was what everybody thought and agreed to. But now they've slid so far that we've had to define our values right down the line, from purity to integrity to service. What do these things mean? But we are defining it, and the Boy Scouts won't.
So this will be a Christian organization as opposed to a secular organization, which Boy Scouts of America is secular.
Well, they affirm a duty to God, but it's generic and non-sectarian. Now, the adults will affirm a statement of faith, but this program is open to any boy of any religion, of any creed, of any race, of any socioeconomic status. So a very, very wide inclusion policy as it relates to the youth in the program. It's just we want the adults to be very solid in understanding the values of the organization and the core of what we believe.
The leadership is going to look a lot different.
That's right.
Right. Well, viewers, we're going to have to take a short break, but when we come back, we're going to have much more ahead with John Stemberger and Rob Green, so you don't want to go away. Stay with us. Welcome back, viewers, to The Good Life. If you're just joining us, our very special guests today are John Stemberger and Rob Green with OnMyHonor.net, a coalition that is forming a brand new scouting organization for young men, which focuses on Christian character development. Now, John, that's a little bit different from Boy Scouts of America. Let's be sure our viewers understand the distinction between the old Boy Scouts of America, which will still be around, and this new organization.
Right. It is going to have Christian leadership and the values and the morals that will spring directly from the Bible. But it's not going to be another church program. So in other words, it won't compete with Awanas or these kinds of things. It won't compete with most churches. But it'll be a unique program that can substitute the Boy Scouts of America because it'll be focused on outdoor camping, hiking, fishing, swimming, all those things that Scouts do. And so it is very different. We are going to have a Christian framework, but it's not just going to be, just another Christian program. So we want to instill character. We think there's something unique about interacting with the beauty and the majesty of God's creation outdoors, getting away from the social media, trying to have men and boys connect and try to instill the character that so many boys don't have because of fatherless homes. And so we're very excited about this program. And already we've seen tens of thousands of people contact our office. It's been amazing. The Boy Scouts of America alone estimate that somewhere between 400 to 600,000 young people will leave their program as a result of this. So really, we're just presenting an alternative to fill a void that's going to be created as a result of their change in their membership policies.
Yeah, you're not in competition. You're just giving us an alternative, and one which will hopefully enable boys to come in and feel good about who they are as Christians. What about the service component? I hear you saying the outdoors and having fun and understanding nature and all of that, but there will be something with service, right? Community
Absolutely.
service?
Yeah, and really the program is being developed. Rob's involved with that as well. And almost every evening, there are dozens of Scoutmasters around the country meeting by phone and by computer, and they're formulating the program. So we have some really great talent all over the country who have been decorated Scout leaders who are helping us think through the new program as well.
Rob, let's talk about your leadership for this. We want the leadership, you want the leadership to be Christian, strong Christian leadership. But what about boys who want to be a part of this organization who may be Jewish or practice Islam or other faiths? Are they going to be welcome as well?
Yeah, let's talk about both of those. First of all, it was really important to the larger group that met together to kind of lay all this out for the foundational statements and principles, to have Christian leadership at every level. And that's not sectarian, it's very broad-based. There's a statement of faith and values that everybody would ascribe to and live by. But for the boys, we really want to reach out and have a broad net and be able to say, anybody, if you're a different religion, please come and please be a part of this program, but it's going to be taught from a specifically Christian worldview and mindset. So just like a Christian school or club or organization, we have kids of other faiths come in, but they will understand what they're getting into when they come there. It will be a great outdoor adventure program with a Christian flavor throughout.
So there will be some evangelism. You anticipate leading kids to Christ.
I hope so.
Right?
I hope so.
That's exciting. All right, what other kind of activities are you going to provide besides, let's say, the outdoorsy things? What do you see for community service related projects?
Well, every merit badge has a different flavor and different importance to it, but outdoor adventure is part of it, the leadership is part of it, but community service, and we're supposed to love our neighbors as ourselves. And Boy Scouting has kind of lost that. When I was involved in Boy Scouting, I've always heard people when we were raising money or when we were talking to the community, where are the Scouts now? Where are they? Are they out? There's no cleaning up of the local community, and there might be a food project once a year, but in general, they've been down in church basements and meeting in the basements. We want our kids to get out and show the love of Christ to the community through service. And that might be a cleanup, it might be car washes, it might be things that we can do, and that's still being developed, as John mentioned. But as long as they're out serving and being the light to the world, that's what we're looking for.
Yeah. Tell us about the qualifications for leadership. We said they have to be Christians, but sometimes that can be a little gray area as well. So what do you anticipate your leaders looking like?
Well, we can't judge a man's heart, obviously, but we can judge his conduct, his behavior, and his profession of faith. And so we will have a statement of faith that would be acceptable to Catholic, Protestant, and Orthodox Christian believers. There's also going to be a code of conduct, and obviously they have to be an adult over the age of 18. And so there'll be background checks and other things like that as well, just for safety purposes. But that's what we're looking to do in order to have the adults.
Because that's going to be kind of tough. I mean, and sometimes leaders are not always upfront and honest, and I don't know how you really determine the qualifications. Is he allowed to drink? Is he allowed to have ever been in prison? You know, what if he was a sexual predator at some time? And he's okay now and he's reformed. So how do you address all of that?
There's a lot of levels, and we get some of this from Boy Scouts and other organizations that have been successful at this. And part of it is decentralizing the control. we couldn't possibly know or evaluate every leader. That's where the local churches come in, and the pastors and the church leadership will look at and select the leaders that lead their own troops. I mean, we can't lead a troop, we can't even select troops. Imagine if we're all over the country, we may never even see the people who are leading. So beyond the background check, we have no control over that. But once the churches get involved and catch on with this local charter partner concept, which the Boy Scouts kind of came up with years ago, and we definitely think it's a good one, where the churches operate their own programs, select their own leaders, and it'll be a really good opportunity for them to own that. Yeah.
Right. Rob, you mentioned that your son was real close to being an Eagle Scout. And would he be able to, if he transfers, and he is going to be transferring over to the new organization, will there be something that is similar to an Eagle Scout that he can transfer all of what he's done already, doesn't have to start from scratch?
No, definitely not. We want to honor and accept the investment that all the boys and the adults have made over so many years in scouting. We want to be a parallel program with transferable advancements. We don't have a name for what the Eagle Scout rank is going to be called yet, but that will definitely be something that we'll offer as an opportunity.
You know, you guys have talked about, John in particular, living a life, you want your boys to live a life of purity and stewardship and service and integrity and all that. We've talked about purity here in the last week or so on The Good Life. What does it really look like for a young man to be pure in today's, I mean, it is not a relevant issue anymore. Purity has gone out the door, out the window. What would you say purity looks like today, John?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, obviously, we believe God's design for human sexuality is the standard. So we're going to be very clear, and that's a difference between us and the Boy Scouts. We're going to define very clearly what morally straight is. We'll have an objective, basis for our morals and ethics, and that'll be the Scripture. But I think that the focus is that really kids need to be focused on understanding who they are in God as young men. Right. And so really, in some respects, especially the younger ones, really we don't think sex even has any part with it. When it does come up, we will direct them back to the standard of sex being designed by God as a gift between one man and one woman in the context of marriage. And anything outside of that is really immoral and improper.
Our young men and women, John, are really not being challenged to remain sexually pure through marriage, into marriage. And that's not something that we say that's really important. I mean, some churches do it, and there are some programs that are great about that. But to have another organization say, listen, this is something that you can make a commitment to. You can make a commitment to purity. I think I applaud you for that, to have that as one of your core values.
Our culture is so hypersexualized. I mean, you can't go anywhere. Billboards, the Walgreens, everywhere you go, it's being in your face, the internet. And so we want to design a program that hopefully is a safe haven and escape from that. Unfortunately, scouting used to be that, but now they've injected sex and in some respect politics right into the veins of the program. And that's why parents are pulling away. That's why they're saying we can no longer trust the BSA. And we're just here to provide an alternative that we believe that parents will have moral consistency, and parents can say, you know what, even if they're not a Christian, say that's a program I can trust, it's reputable, has a great reputation, and great men.
And it's exciting that even 500,000 people almost, you said, are really looking for that alternative. I mean, that's across the United States?
That's right.
You were on the edge of your seat, Rob. You wanted to jump in there when John was talking about purity.
I really did, because it's something, raising 3 boys and a girl, you know, guarding your eyes and keeping yourself pure, and then guarding your heart are such huge things that you don't hear about. Because today in the sexualized society, everything is images flashing at you all the time. I just had one of my sons go over to Germany for the summer, and it's worse over there. I mean, everything where you look, billboards and TV and all the messages you get on your phone are constantly giving you this message that you're going to find, I don't know, some kind of long-lasting pleasure out of that, and we all know it's a lie. So we want to bring the kids to the outdoors, away from the gadgets, away from the billboards and all this stuff, and teach them about God. I mean, there's a lot that you can learn lying out in a sleeping bag under the stars and seeing what God created and put out there. And it's not all images being flashed at you all the time. It's God's image.
Under the safe umbrella of an organization that is a godly Christian organization, but is embracing any and everybody to become a part. Well, let's just say, we talked about all religions could be a part of your group, but let's say a little guy comes in that he's 8 years old and he says, I really don't know, John, Rob, I don't know if I'm gay or not. Is he going to be welcome into this group?
Yeah, I mean, if a young man says he has a same-sex attraction, that's one thing, and that'll be dealt with just like we would any other ministry issue. But we're not going to allow the open promotion of things that are distraction to the mission of what we're called to do. And that's the difference, again, in the BSA. With allowing open and avowed homosexuals within the Boy Scouts of America, it's just going to be inappropriate. It's going to inject politics. Look, parents, I mean, one of my sons understands homosexuality, the other one doesn't. And that's, for me as a parent, that's my call.
Yeah.
I don't want that being introduced around a campfire by some young man just talking about his escapades or something. So the inappropriateness of it is really so evident, and we think parents are going to understand that.
Yeah, I like to turn it to the positive way. I mean, we're not against anybody, but we want to grow responsible young men who will become godly citizens and husbands and fathers, and we know what that is, and so that's what we want to teach. And we're not out to discriminate, we're out to include, but we want to include people in the right things.
That's right. John Stemberger, thank you for your heart, for your desire to have an organization that embraces our Christian values and our faith, and Rob Green for your leadership as well. And we just praise God for this. And viewers, we would hope that you would use this as an opportunity to pray for onmyhonor.net. That's a website that you can go to learn more about the Christian alternative to Boy Scouts of America. We are thanking you and are so appreciative, John Stemberger again and Rob Green, for being here with us today. And viewers, if you would like some prayer, we would direct you to our Connection helpline, which is 1-800-884-0585. You may have some things that you need prayer for right now, and somebody will answer that phone and pray with you, and to give you that kind of confidence in the Lord that we can all approach the throne of grace with confidence. But sometimes it's nice to have somebody there beside you to praying alongside and with you. Also, if you'd like to contact us here at the station for prayer or for comments on this program or any kind of programming that we're doing and that we're offering, we would love to hear from you. Write to us at Good Life Broadcasting, 31 Skyline Drive in Lake Mary, Florida, 32746. Call us at 407-215-6745. You can become a member or a part of our email blast at info@tv45.org. And then finally, viewers, if you'll go to goodlife45.org, that is a website where you can go and you can see this program again and again and again if you needed to, or if you wanted to look up this program and send it to someone in another part of the country or in another part of the world. If you know somebody who would benefit from this program on a Boy Scouts of America alternative, a Christian alternative, send this program to them, and that's a great place to do that. Also, pray for us. Viewers, we really covet your prayers for the ministry that we have here at Good Life 45 to reach the ends of the world with the gospel of Jesus Christ. That's our heart's desire. We also need your financial support whenever you can do that. We want you to support your church. First and foremost, tithe to your church. Any offerings above and beyond that, send to Good Life 45 if, and only if, the Lord is prompting you to do that. There are a lot of other wonderful ministries out there as well that we would direct you to. And finally, we want to give you a closing scripture to encourage you in your walk with the Lord. This comes from Proverbs 22:6 that you're familiar with. You've heard this so many times, and it's such a great truth. Train up a child in the way he should go. Even when he is old, he will not depart from it. Grab hold of that verse. It's a wonderful promise from Scripture. We thank you today for being a part of our Good Life 45 family. And until next time, we hope to see you again right back here on The Good Life. Bye-bye, and God bless you.